Captain Jake Morrison stood in the center of the massive chamber, feeling very small. Around him, dozens of alien beings sat in floating chairs that glowed with soft blue light. Their eyes, some round, some long and narrow, all stared down at him with the same cold look. He had seen that look before on Earth when adults watched children who had done something wrong. The largest alien spoke first. Its voice came through a translator that made the words sound flat and emotionless. "Human Captain Morrison, you and your species stand before the Galactic Council today to learn your fate." Jake kept his back straight and his hands at his sides. 3 months ago, when his ship the New Horizon had made first contact with these beings, he thought it was the greatest day in human history. Now he was not so sure. The alien continued, "We have studied your people for 60 Earth days. We have looked at your technology, your history, and your civilization. The Council has reached a decision. Another alien, this one with blue skin, and 4 arms, floated forward. Your species is too young and too primitive to join galactic society. Your entire civilization is barely 10,000 years old. You are infants compared to the established powers of this galaxy." A third alien, covered in what looked like silver fur, added, "The Ketelans have existed for 50,000 years. They are considered the eldest race among us. Even the youngest council member species has 20,000 years of recorded history. You humans are nothing but children playing with dangerous toys." Jake felt his face grow hot, but he stayed quiet. The mission briefing had warned him this might happen. Earth's leaders had hoped for trade agreements and shared technology. Instead, it seemed humanity was about to be told to go back where they came from. "Therefore," the first alien announced, "the Galactic Council votes to place your species under quarantine. You will return to your home system immediately. All human vessels must remain within 50 light years of your star. Any human ship found beyond this boundary will be destroyed." The words hit Jake like a physical blow. Humanity had just taken its first steps into the galaxy, and already they were being locked in a cage. "You have 30 standard days to comply," the blue-skinned alien said. "This meeting is concluded." As the alien representatives began to float away, Jake's communication device buzzed. A message from his ship appeared on the small screen. It was from Dr. Lisa Grant, his chief science officer. The message had only 3 words, but they made his heart race. "Emergency. Come immediately." Jake hurried back to his shuttle, his mind spinning. The rejection by the council was bad enough, but Lisa never sent emergency messages unless something truly important had happened. She was the calmest person he knew, someone who could find ancient pottery pieces in alien dirt and get excited about them for weeks. The shuttle ride back to the New Horizon felt like it took forever. Jake's ship hung in space near the planet, Kepler 442b, where Lisa's team had been studying some old ruins. The planet was supposed to be a routine archaeological survey, nothing more than a chance to look at some broken stones left behind by a dead civilization. When Jake reached the ship, he found Lisa waiting for him in the main lab. Her usually neat brown hair was messy and her clothes were covered in dirt. Her eyes were wide with excitement and fear. "Jake, you need to see this," she said, pulling him toward a large table covered with stone fragments. "I found these in the ruins today, buried under 60 feet of rock and soil." Jake looked at the stones. They were covered with symbols that meant nothing to him. "What am I looking at, Lisa?" "Writing," she said, her voice shaking. "Human writing." Jake stared at her. "What do you mean, human writing?" Lisa pointed at the symbols on the stones. "These marks match ancient Sanskrit and early Sumerian texts from Earth. Not similar to them, Jake. Exact matches. The same symbols our ancestors used thousands of years ago." "That's impossible," Jake said. "No human has ever been to this planet before us." "That's what I thought too," Lisa replied. She walked to her computer and pulled up a data file. "But look at this. I ran carbon dating tests on the stone and the organic material around it. Jake, these writings are over 100,000 years old." The numbers seemed too big to be real. Jake sat down hard in the nearest chair. "Are you sure about the dating?" "I've run the tests 5 times, Lisa said. Each time I get the same result. And Jake, there's more. I found these symbols carved into the deepest part of the ruins, in a chamber that was sealed shut. No one has been inside there for thousands and thousands of years. Jake stood up and walked to the window that looked out at the planet below. The brown and green world looked peaceful from space, but now it felt like it was hiding secrets that could change everything. If humans were here 100,000 years ago, he said slowly, then everything the Galactic Council just told us is wrong. It gets worse, Lisa said. I found something else in that sealed chamber. It's some kind of machine, Jake. The metal is like nothing I've ever seen, but the design is clearly human. And Jake, when I touched it, it turned on. Jake spun around to face her. It turned on? The whole thing lit up with symbols and pictures. I couldn't understand most of it, but I recognized some star maps. This galaxy, Jake, but not how it looks now. How it looked a very long time ago. Jake felt like the ground was shifting under his feet. For his entire life, humans had believed they were alone in the universe until 3 months ago. Now it seemed they might have been traveling between the stars, since before any other known civilization existed. We need to tell Earth about this, immediately, he said. Already sent the preliminary report, Lisa replied. But Jake, I want to go back down there. I think there's more to find. Much more. Jake nodded, but his mind was already racing ahead. If Lisa was right, if humans really had been in space 100,000 years ago, then what had happened to them? Where had they gone? And why had they left Earth behind to start over like children? Outside the window, the planet Kepler 442b continued its slow rotation, keeping its ancient secrets buried in stone and metal, waiting for the children of Earth to remember who they really were. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Ship Defender, watching the news report stream across her command screen. Every channel was showing the same thing: humanity's rejection by the Galactic Council. Angry crowds gathered outside government buildings on Earth and Mars, demanding answers that no one had. Her communication officer turned toward her. Admiral, we're receiving new orders from Global Defense Command. Kate read the message that appeared on her personal screen. The words were simple but harsh. All human vessels had 30 days to return to the Sol system. Any ship found beyond the 50 light-year boundary after that would be considered hostile and destroyed. How many ships do we have in deep space right now? She asked. 47 exploration and research vessels, Admiral, including Captain Morrison's New Horizon. Kate nodded grimly. 47 ships was not very many compared to what the alien races could field, but each one represented years of work and billions of dollars. More importantly, each one carried human beings who had volunteered to explore the unknown. Send recall orders to all vessels, she commanded. Tell them to begin immediate return to Sol system. Meanwhile, 300 light-years away, Dr. Lisa Grant was having the best and worst day of her career. She stood in the ancient chamber beneath the ruins of Kepler 442b, surrounded by technology that should not exist. Professor Ben Clark, the head of the archaeological mission, knelt beside a wall covered in symbols that glowed with soft white light. Lisa, come look at this, Ben called out. He was older than her, with gray hair and kind eyes behind thick glasses. He had taught her everything she knew about reading ancient texts. These symbols are changing. Lisa hurried over to where Ben was working. The symbols on the wall were indeed moving, shifting from one pattern to another like living things. As she watched, the alien-looking marks slowly changed into symbols she recognized. That's ancient Greek, she whispered. And that's Egyptian. Hieroglyphs. It's responding to us, Ben said excitedly. The writing is changing to languages we can understand. Lisa placed her hand on the wall next to his. The moment her palm touched the smooth surface, the entire chamber filled with light. Machines that had been dark for thousands of years suddenly hummed to life. Screens appeared in the air above them, showing star maps and symbols. My God, Ben breathed. It's a computer system, a human computer system. Lisa studied the floating displays. The star maps showed the galaxy as it existed, long ago, with markers indicating human settlements on hundreds of worlds. Many of those worlds now belong to alien civilizations that claim to have discovered them first. Ben, she said, her voice shaking. "We weren't just here before the other races. We were everywhere." Ben nodded, his face pale. "This changes everything we thought we knew about galactic history." Lisa continued to explore the computer interface, which seemed to respond to her thoughts as much as her touch. She found files containing human languages from Earth, but also languages she had never seen before. There were technical manuals for building starships that made current human vessels look like toys. Then she found the communications array. "Ben, I think this is some kind of radio transmitter," she said, pointing at a section of the wall that was covered with controls. "But it's more advanced than anything we have. Can you make it work?" Lisa studied the symbols and patterns. Slowly, carefully, she began to press the controls in the sequence that felt right. The chamber filled with a deep humming sound and the walls began to glow brighter. Suddenly a voice spoke from everywhere and nowhere. It was human, but the accent was unlike anything Lisa had ever heard. The words came in English, but the pronunciation was strange, ancient. "Children of Earth," the voice said. "If you receive this, the time of hiding is over. The Council of Races has found you. You are no longer safe in ignorance. Follow the beacon to the sanctuary. Awaken the guardians. Remember who you were before the silence began." The message repeated 3 times. Then the chamber fell quiet. "Lisa," Ben whispered, "what have we just done?" Before she could answer, her communicator buzzed. Captain Morrison's voice came through, urgent and excited. "Lisa, we're picking up massive energy readings from across the galaxy. Dozens of sources, all broadcasting on frequencies we've never seen before. And Lisa, the signals are all coming from locations that our star charts show as empty space." Lisa and Ben looked at each other. The ancient message had been sent, and something was responding. Far across the galaxy, in a region of space that had appeared empty for over 80,000 years, monitoring stations began to wake up. These stations had waited patiently, disguised as asteroids and dead comets, watching for the signal that would tell them their long vigil was over. Commander Alex Martinez was running a routine deep space patrol near the galactic rim when his ship's sensors went crazy. The small research vessel Pathfinder was designed to look for new planets, not to handle the massive energy readings that were suddenly appearing on his screens. "Commander," his sensor operator called out, "I'm reading. Impossible energy signatures. Multiple contacts, extremely large, distance approximately 50,000 kilometers." Alex looked at his main screen. Space in front of his ship was empty, just as it had been for the past 6 months of patrol. But his instruments insisted that something huge was out there. "Could be sensor malfunction," his weapons officer suggested. Then, the stars went out. Not all of them, just the ones directly ahead of the Pathfinder. It was as if something enormous was blocking the light, something so big that it could hide entire star systems. Slowly, lights began to appear in the darkness. Not the light of stars, but the controlled light of technology. Running lights, navigation beacons, and the glow of active engines. A ship was decloaking in front of them, but calling it a ship was like calling a mountain a rock. The vessel was over 20 kilometers long and 5 kilometers wide. Its hull was smooth and dark, marked with symbols that Alex somehow knew were human, even though he had never seen their like before. Along its sides, other shapes were becoming visible as more cloaking fields deactivated. "My God," Alex whispered. "It's a fleet." His communication officer's voice was shaking. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission. It's on human frequencies, but the coding is unlike anything in our database." "Put it through." A woman's voice filled the bridge, speaking clear English, with that same ancient accent Lisa had heard in the buried chamber. "Unknown human vessel. This is Admiral Lynn Parker of the Eternal Vigilance. We have received the awakening signal. Please identify yourself and prepare to receive priority transmissions." Alex stared at the massive ship on his screen. "Eternal Vigilance, this is Commander Alex Martinez of the Earthship Pathfinder. Admiral Parker, how long have you been out here?" There was a pause before the answer came. "Commander Martinez, we have been waiting for 83,412 years. Tell us, do our children on Earth still remember the old stories?" Commander Alex Martinez had seen many strange things during his years in space, but nothing had prepared him for this. The woman who materialized on his ship's main screen looked completely human, but her uniform was like nothing he had ever seen. It was made of a material that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, and the symbols on her collar glowed with their own inner light. Admiral Lynn Parker appeared to be in her 40s, with short dark hair and eyes that held the weight of centuries. Behind her, Alex could see the bridge of the Eternal Vigilance, filled with technology that made his own ship look like a toy. "Commander Martinez," Admiral Parker said, her voice carrying authority that seemed to come from ages of command. "I need you to understand what you are seeing. My fleet has been in deep sleep for over 80,000 years. We have been waiting for the signal that would tell us our descendants needed us." Alex found his voice. "Admiral, with respect, that's impossible. Humans have only been in space for about 200 years. Parker smiled, but it was a sad smile. "Commander, that is what your people were meant to believe. Tell me, have you ever wondered why humans adapted so quickly to space travel? Why your technology advanced so rapidly once you left Earth?" Alex had wondered about that. Every military academy taught that human progress in space had been remarkably fast, almost as if they were remembering things rather than learning them for the first time. "The truth," Parker continued, "is that humanity is the oldest spacefaring race in this galaxy. We built the hyperspace network that all civilizations use today. We terraformed most of the worlds that the younger races now call home." On Alex's screen, more ships were becoming visible as their cloaking fields deactivated. Each one was enormous, designed for war but built with an elegance that spoke of a civilization far more advanced than anything the current galaxy possessed. "Admiral," Alex said carefully, "if that's true, what happened? Why don't we remember?" Parker's expression grew darker. "Because 85,000 years ago we made a choice. Our civilization had grown so powerful that we realized we were preventing other species from developing naturally. Every world we settled, every technology we shared, was making the galaxy into our image, rather than allowing other forms of life to flourish." She paused, looking at something beyond Alex's camera range. "So we implemented Protocol Genesis. We scattered our people across the galaxy, hid our most powerful ships, and allowed Earth to start over. We became the gardeners of galactic civilization, watching from the shadows while younger races grew and learned." Alex's mind raced. "But why come back now?" "Because," Parker said grimly, "the signal we just received means that our children on Earth are in danger. The Galactic Council has discovered humanity and found them wanting. They plan to quarantine your people, to keep you locked in your home system like animals in a cage." Parker turned to someone off-screen and spoke in a language Alex didn't recognize, though somehow it sounded familiar. When she turned back, her expression was grim. "Commander Martinez, I'm transmitting coordinates to your ship. I need you to return to Earth immediately and deliver a message to your leaders. Tell them that Admiral Lynn Parker and the Eternal Fleet have awakened. Tell them that the time of hiding is over." Before Alex could respond, his communication officer called out urgently, "Commander, we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth Command." Alex split his screen to show both Admiral Parker and the incoming message from Admiral Sullivan. When Sullivan's image appeared, her face was tight with stress. "All ships return to Sol system immediately. We have 30 days before the quarantine takes effect. Any vessel found beyond our boundaries after that will be destroyed by Galactic Council forces." Parker listened to Sullivan's message with growing anger. "So it has begun," she said quietly. "Commander Martinez, change of plans. I'm coming with you to Earth. It's time my descendants learned the truth about their heritage." Alex watched in amazement as the Eternal Vigilance began to move. The massive ship accelerated smoothly, without any visible effort, reaching speeds that his instruments said were impossible. "Admiral, how fast can your ship travel?" "Fast enough," Parker replied. "We'll reach Earth in 6 days. I suggest you try to keep up." As Alex's ship struggled to match the ancient vessel's pace, Parker began to tell him the real history of humanity. She spoke of the great colonial expansion that had spread human settlements across thousands of worlds. She described the massive engineering projects that had reshaped entire star systems to support life. "We were not conquerors," she explained. We were builders. Every habitable world in this galaxy bears some mark of human engineering. The atmospheric processors, the magnetic field generators, the ocean formation systems, all human technology. But if we did all that, Alex asked, why did the other races never find evidence of it? Parker smiled again, this time with something that might have been pride. Because we were very good at hiding our work. To a Catalian surveyor, a terraformed world looks completely natural. They never think to look deeper to check the geological layers that would show artificial intervention. During the 6-day journey to Earth, Parker introduced Alex to her crew. They were all human, but humans who had lived in suspended animation for longer than recorded history. Each one carried memories of a civilization that had spanned the galaxy. Chief Engineer Tom Bradley showed Alex through the ship's power systems, which used energy sources that current human science said were impossible. We tapped directly into the quantum foam, he explained casually. It's really quite simple once you understand the math. Dr. Carol Stevens, the ship's medical officer, had been studying genetic samples from Alex's crew. Fascinating, she told him. Your people have maintained the core human genome perfectly. The adaptation protocols we built into the species are still active. Adaptation protocols? Alex asked. Genetic programming that helps humans adjust to different environments quickly, Stevens explained. It's why your people can colonize new worlds so easily. We designed you to be the ultimate explorers. As they approached Earth, Parker called Alex to the bridge. On the main screen he could see his home planet, but he was also seeing something else. The space around Earth was filled with ships, alien ships. The Galactic Council fleet, Parker said quietly. They're not waiting for the 30 days to expire. They're here to make sure humanity doesn't try to resist. Alex counted over 200 alien vessels, each one bristling with weapons. Against that kind of force, Earth's modest defense fleet would last perhaps 10 minutes. Admiral, he said, what are we going to do? Parker stood up from her command chair, and for the first time Alex saw her as she truly was. Not just a military officer, but the guardian of an entire species. We're going to remind the galaxy, she said quietly, who built their civilization in the first place. On the main screen, the alien fleet was turning toward them, weapons powering up. Behind them, Earth hung in space like a blue jewel, unaware that the fate of humanity was about to be decided by technology older than their civilization. Parker touched a control on her chair, and the Eternal Vigilance's weapon systems came online. The energy readings made Alex's instruments scream warnings, but Parker looked completely calm. Open a channel to the Galactic Council fleet, she ordered. It's time for them to learn that humanity is not the young species they think.
We are.
The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been called within hours of the massive energy signatures appearing across the galaxy. In the Great Chamber on the neutral world of Concord Prime, representatives from 47 civilizations gathered in growing panic. The Catalian ambassador Veltar's forearms shook as he spoke to the assembly. The readings are confirmed from 17 different monitoring stations. Ships of unknown origin are appearing in sectors that our surveys have marked as empty for 50,000 years. The blue-skinned Zephyrian representative leaned forward in her floating chair. The energy signatures are off our scales. Each of these vessels appears to be larger than our entire home defense fleet. On Earth, Captain Jake Morrison had been recalled from his mission to meet with Admiral Kate Sullivan and the Global Defense Council. The emergency meeting was being held in the secure chambers beneath the Defense Command Center in Geneva. Admiral, Jake said, reviewing the data that had been streaming in from around the galaxy. These ships that are appearing, they're responding to the signal Dr. Grant activated on Kepler 442b. Admiral Sullivan nodded grimly. We've been in contact with Commander Martinez. His report is almost impossible to believe, but the evidence is overwhelming. The main screen in the command center showed the approaching alien fleet, 237 vessels, representing the combined military might of the Galactic Council, had taken position around Earth's solar system. They're not waiting for the 30-day deadline, Sullivan observed. They want to make sure we can't resist when they lock us away. On the bridge of the Eternal Vigilance, Admiral Parker was speaking to the assembled fleet commanders via hologram. Alex Martinez stood beside her, still trying to process everything he had learned. "Brothers and sisters," Parker said to the 11 other ship commanders who appeared as ghostly images around the bridge. "The young races have shown their true nature. They seek to cage our children rather than welcome them as equals." Admiral Marcus Webb of the Defiant spoke first. His ship was even larger than the Eternal Vigilance, designed for system-wide defense. "Lynn, our orders were clear. We were to remain hidden until humanity was in mortal danger." "Look around you, Marcus," Parker replied. 200 alien warships are pointing their weapons at Earth. If that's not mortal danger, what is? The other commanders nodded agreement. Admiral Sarah Mitchell of the Guardian spoke next. "The question is, how much do we reveal? Do we show them our full strength or just enough to make them back down?" Parker considered this carefully. "We start with a demonstration. Let them understand what they're dealing with. If they're wise, they'll withdraw. If not..." She left the thread unfinished. Back on Earth, Dr. Lisa Grant was working frantically with Professor Ben Clark to understand the technology they had activated. The ancient chamber on Kepler 442b had become a hub of activity as human scientists tried to decode information that was thousands of years ahead of their understanding. "Lisa," Ben called from across the chamber. "I think I've found something important." She hurried over to where he was standing in front of a wall covered with star maps. The display showed the galaxy as it existed in the present day, but with markers indicating the locations of hidden installations. "These markers," Ben said excitedly, "they're showing us where the ancient humans hid their technology. Look here and here and here." He pointed to various locations on the map. "Every major hyperspace junction in the galaxy has one of these markers." Lisa studied the display. "Ben, I think these are the control nodes for the hyperspace network. The entire galactic transportation system is controlled from these hidden stations." The implications were staggering. If humanity controlled the hyperspace network, they could cut off travel and trade between alien civilizations at will. "We need to get this information to Admiral Sullivan immediately," Lisa said. As her message raced toward Earth through subspace, the confrontation above the planet was beginning. Admiral Parker opened a communication channel to the Galactic Council fleet. Her image appeared on the bridge of every alien ship simultaneously, a feat of technology that made their communication officers panic. "This is Admiral Lynn Parker of the Terran Deep Fleet," she announced. "You have brought weapons into the territory of the human species. You will withdraw immediately." The response came from Admiral Zektar, the Catalian fleet commander. His insectoid features showed confusion and anger. "Unknown vessel, you are interfering with a legal council operation. Withdraw or be destroyed." Parker smiled coldly. "Admiral Zektar, your homeworld of Catal Prime orbits a star that your people believe formed naturally 4 billion years ago. Would you like to know how we built it?" The silence on the alien communication channels was deafening. Parker continued. "The star you worship as the life-giver of your race is an artificial fusion reactor constructed by human engineers 90,000 years ago. The planet you call home was moved into its current orbit and terraformed by human atmospheric processors. Even the gravity you evolved in was adjusted by human gravity generators buried in your planet's core." Commander Martinez watched the alien fleet carefully. Several ships were powering down their weapons, their crews too shocked to maintain aggressive postures. "You're lying," Admiral Zektar finally managed to say. In response, Parker transmitted a single data packet to the Catalian flagship. On Zektar's screens appeared detailed schematics of his homeworld, showing the artificial structures hidden beneath its surface. The engineering signatures were clearly human, and they were clearly ancient. "Every world in this galaxy bears the mark of human engineering," Parker said. "We were here first. We built the foundation that your civilizations rest upon, and now you dare to tell our children they are too young to join the galactic community?" On Earth, Admiral Sullivan was receiving the transmission and coordinating with her counterparts across human space. The revelation of humanity's ancient heritage was spreading rapidly through the colonies. "Admiral," her communication officer reported, "we're receiving data from Dr. Grant on Kepler 442b. She's found the control systems for the hyperspace network. Sullivan studied the information on her screen. With access to these control nodes, humanity could shut down galactic commerce and travel at will. It was a weapon more powerful than any fleet. Open a secure channel to Admiral Parker, Sullivan ordered. When Parker's image appeared on the screen, Sullivan got straight to the point. Admiral, Dr. Grant has found the hyperspace control systems. We could shut down the entire galactic transportation network. Parker nodded. I know. The question is, do we use that knowledge as a weapon or as a bargaining chip? Before Sullivan could answer, alerts began sounding throughout the fleet. The alien ships were moving, but not toward Earth. They were retreating to the edge of the solar system. Admiral Zektar's voice came over the communication channel, and this time it held none of its earlier arrogance. Admiral Parker, the Galactic Council requests immediate negotiations. We were not aware of humanity's true heritage. Parker looked at Commander Martinez, who nodded slightly. Very well, Admiral Zektar. But understand this. The days when younger races could dictate terms to humanity are over. We built this galaxy's civilization, and we have returned to take our rightful place in it. As the alien fleet withdrew, Parker turned to her crew. Signal the other ships. Begin Phase 2 of the Awakening Protocol. It's time for the galaxy to see what we've been hiding for all these millennia. Across human space, ancient installations began to power up. Hidden shipyards that had been dormant for 80,000 years started their production lines. The true strength of humanity was about to be revealed, and the galaxy would never be the same. 3 weeks had passed since the confrontation above Earth, and the galaxy was still reeling from the revelations about humanity's true history. In the Great Assembly Hall on Concord Prime, representatives from every major civilization gathered for what many believed would be the most important meeting in galactic history. Admiral Lynn Parker walked into the chamber with the confidence of someone who knew she held all the cards. Beside her, Admiral Kate Sullivan represented modern humanity, while Captain Jake Morrison and Dr. Lisa Grant carried the evidence that had started this revolution. The alien representatives looked very different from the proud beings who had rejected humanity just a month before. The Catalian ambassador Veltar's forearms hung limp at his sides, while the Zephyrian delegate avoided eye contact entirely. Parker took her place at the center of the chamber and began to speak. Honored delegates, we are here to discuss the future of galactic civilization. But first, you must understand the truth about its past. The main display screen came to life, showing a star map of the galaxy as it had existed 100,000 years ago. Thousands of markers indicated human settlements and installations. This is what the galaxy looked like during the height of human civilization, Parker explained. Every habitable world you see marked here was either discovered, terraformed, or protected by human technology. She gestured, and the display changed to show the modern galaxy. And this is what you inherited when we chose to step back and allow younger races to develop. The Catalian ambassador finally found his voice. Admiral Parker, if your people were so advanced, why did you leave? Why allow us to believe we had discovered these worlds ourselves? Parker's expression softened slightly. Because, Ambassador, wisdom sometimes means knowing when to step aside. Our civilization had grown so powerful that we realized we were stunting the growth of other species. Every world we colonized, every technology we shared was making the galaxy into a reflection of humanity, rather than allowing diversity to flourish. Dr. Lisa Grant stepped forward, carrying a tablet filled with data from the ancient ruins. We found records of the Great Decision in the archaeological sites. Humanity's leaders gathered on a world called Council Prime and made a choice that no species had ever made before. She activated her tablet, and the screen showed ancient human text translated into the common galactic language. They voted to scatter their civilization across the galaxy, hide their most powerful technology, and allow Earth to start over from a primitive state. They became the gardeners of galactic civilization. The blue-skinned Zephyrian delegate leaned forward. But why reveal yourselves now? What changed? Admiral Sullivan answered this time. What changed is that your council decided to lock humanity away like dangerous animals. You forgot that the infrastructure you depend on was built by our ancestors. As if to emphasize her point, the lights in the chamber flickered. Not the natural fluctuation of power, but a controlled demonstration. Across the galaxy, 3 major hyperspace nodes had been temporarily shut down, causing massive disruptions to trade and communication. That was just a small demonstration, Parker said calmly. Dr. Grant's team has located 47 major control nodes throughout the galaxy. Each one is capable of shutting down hyperspace travel across dozens of star systems. The alien delegates looked terrified. The Catalian ambassador spoke carefully. "Admiral, surely you don't intend to use this power as a weapon?" "Not as a weapon," Parker replied. "As a reminder, the galaxy you've built rests on foundations that humanity laid down. We're not asking for conquest or domination. We're asking for respect." Captain Morrison stepped forward with a data pad containing new information. "Over the past 3 weeks, our archaeological teams have been working around the clock. We've found evidence of human presence on every major world in the galaxy. Not just settlements, but active maintenance systems that have been keeping your planets habitable for millennia." The evidence was overwhelming. Every delegate in the chamber was learning that their homeworld owed its very existence to ancient human engineering. The Zephyrian delegate finally spoke. "What do you want from us?" Admiral Parker looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each alien representative. "We want what we always wanted, to be part of the galactic community, not as children who need to be taught, but as the elder species we actually are. The quarantine on humanity is hereby lifted," announced the Catalian ambassador. "All restrictions on human space travel are removed." "Thank you," Parker said, "but that's just the beginning. We propose a new structure for galactic governance, a true council where each species is represented according to their contribution to galactic civilization." The negotiations continued for days. In the end, a new galactic charter was signed that recognized humanity as the founding species of galactic civilization. But rather than demanding dominance, humanity chose to take the role of protectors and guides. Admiral Parker stood on the bridge of the Eternal Vigilance as it prepared to depart Concord Prime. Commander Martinez, now promoted to captain and assigned as liaison between modern and ancient humanity, joined her at the observation deck. "Admiral," he asked, "what happens now?" Parker smiled as she watched the alien ships departing peacefully. "Now we do what we should have done from the beginning. We guide without controlling. We protect without dominating. We share our knowledge, while allowing other species to develop in their own way." On Earth, Admiral Sullivan was meeting with the Global Defense Council. The revelation of humanity's true heritage had sparked massive changes in human society. Hidden installations across human space were coming online, providing technology that leaped human civilization forward by thousands of years. "Admiral," one of the council members asked, "will we share this technology with the other races?" "Gradually," Sullivan replied. "Admiral Parker's people learned the lesson of moving too fast. We'll share what they're ready for, when they're ready for it." Dr. Lisa Grant was back on Kepler 442b, leading the largest archaeological expedition in human history. The ancient ruins had revealed themselves to be just the tip of an enormous complex that stretched deep into the planet's crust. "Professor Clark," she called to her colleague, "you need to see this." Ben Clark hurried over to where Lisa was studying a newly uncovered chamber. The walls were covered with star maps, but these showed regions beyond the galaxy. "Lisa," Ben whispered, "these maps show other galaxies with human settlements marked on them." Lisa nodded, her eyes wide with wonder. "Our ancestors didn't just colonize this galaxy, Ben. They went beyond it. And somewhere out there, other human civilizations might still be waiting for the signal to come home." In the depths of space, far beyond the galactic rim, ancient monitoring stations received the awakening signal and began to stir. Humanity's expansion into the galaxy had been vast, but it was only the beginning of a story that spanned multiple galaxies. Captain Morrison, now commanding his own deep space exploration mission, received new orders from Admiral Sullivan. His destination was the Galactic Core, where the oldest human installations waited to be rediscovered. As his ship, the New Discovery, prepared for the journey, Morrison reflected on how much had changed in such a short time. Humanity had gone from being rejected by the galactic community to taking its rightful place as the elder species. But perhaps the most important change was in how humanity saw itself. They were no longer the young species reaching for the stars. They were the gardeners of galactic civilization, returned to tend the garden their ancestors had planted so long ago. The galaxy was vast, and there were still many secrets to uncover. But for the first time in 80,000 years, humanity was united across time and space, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. And in the darkness between galaxies, other ancient human fleets detected the awakening signal and began their own long journey home. The reunion of humanity was only just beginning, and the galaxy would never be the same.